Hi, I'm Pete Schellenbach, culinary specialist with Vulcan, and I'm here in the Vulcan test kitchen to show you the new Vulcan TCM Combi. TCM stands for Touch Combi Multi. It is a full-size combi machine with a touchscreen and has multiple operational modes, multiple step recipes, multiple cleaning options. That list goes on and on. Today I'm going to run you through the capabilities of the TCM. We're going to be cooking in it. I'm going to use the preset recipes that were developed with Vulcan's culinary team. I'm going to show you the two manual modes, the manual ABC and the manual jet mode, and a bunch of other features. The TCM is a capable, full-featured combi that is going to make your operation run more smoothly and efficiently, and that's going to save you both time and money. Before we get started, I want to take you through the control panel and show you how the TCM works. So I want to take you through the control panel of the TCM Combi. What you'll notice is across the top, you'll see auto, manual, and toolbox. I'm going to start out in this auto mode. Auto mode is where all of the recipes live, both the ones that come preloaded on the TCM and anything that you would save, a recipe that you would write and want to save. Below the top line is this line where I've got right now highlighted my recipes. Those are recipes that I have written and saved in the Combi. If I go over here to the Vulcan button, what I see are all of the preloaded recipes. And you can see that those are categorized into meat, vegetable, fish, pastry, various, and then banquet functions as well live in that Vulcan button. Over here are my favorites. I have 12 slots where I can put my most commonly used recipes for easy access to those. Then in the center, I have manual. I switch over to manual and it immediately defaults into the ABC mode. As we've covered, and you're gonna see me cook in a little later, ABC is Vulcan's automated humidity control program that presets humidity based on the temperature that you select. This manual button in the center toggles between ABC mode and jet mode. So if I press it again, I go into jet mode. Jet mode is full manual, where I can control every aspect of the running of the TCM. I can control temperature, humidity, whether I'm cooking by probe or time. I can control fan speed. I can give a burst of steam for baking when I want oven spring on a bread, that kind of thing. All of those controls are here in the jet mode. And then the last button across the top is the toolbox. Toolbox has a lot of the parameters, a lot of the presets that are available in the TCM, but the most important thing in the toolbox is the automatic cleaning. I've got multiple cleaning levels, so I can go from a light to a very intense cleaning level. I can also select whether I want descaling or not during that process. And I can also add an additional drying step if I've got water that tends to bead and turn into water spots. So that's basically the control panel of the TCM. And now I want to get started with some cooking. So the way I cooked this roast was a 5-step cooking process. What that allowed me to do was start at a higher temperature to get browning on the outside of the roast, and then lower the temperature through the cooking process, so I got a very even, slow roasted effect on the inside, almost like sous vide. So one of the biggest benefits of overnight roasting is that I'm cooking at a time of day when I don't have any labor involved. So the TCM is saving you money by cooking and monitoring your food at a time when there's no staff present. So there's a labor savings there. Another way that the TCM saves you money in this process is shrink. It doesn't happen. When I cook at this high sear beginning, low and slow finish, what I end up with is a cook loss that is only about 15%. That's an 85% yield. So we're saving money both in the labor and in the actual food cost. So now what you're gonna see me do is show you the other way that the TCM saves money by cooking in this manner. Now I'm gonna cut this roast in a way that I would not normally cut a roast or cut a piece of tenderloin. I'm gonna cut it along the roast so I can show you how evenly it cooked from edge to edge. So as you can see, I've got an absolutely perfect medium rare roast, but I want you to notice that it is absolutely edge to edge medium rare. There's no bullseye effect. I don't have well done end cuts. That means that I've got total utilization from edge to edge. That's another way that we save you food cost. Right now I'm going to be using the manual mode called Jet. So I'm going to go to manual, and then I'm going to toggle from ABC where it starts over to Jet. In Jet mode, I have absolute control over what's going on inside the combi. I want to hit steam, and I'm going to be doing some low temperature steaming right now. So I'm going to turn the temperature down to 175 degrees. Because I'm doing fresh spinach, I'm also going to turn the fan down to 50%. So that I don't blow the spinach all over the inside of the combi. So I'm gonna go ahead and load it up. Today, what I'm making in here is some fresh spinach, some zucchini and yellow squash, and some steamed shrimp, and drizzle them with a little bit of hot honey. And I'm gonna set my timer for 4 minutes. Steam is an incredibly powerful way to cook, but there's some elements of steam, or there's some aspects of steam that are really helpful to know when you're cooking in a combi. The first is that steam is a dry gas. Since it's dry, I'm not going to get flavor transfer from one product to the other. So the shrimp isn't gonna make the spinach taste like seafood. One of the primary benefits of cooking with steam is that it makes the food retain its own moisture. Because the steam is surrounding the food, the moisture that would normally cook out of the food can't get out, so it just stays in. They taste more like what they're supposed to taste like. Another aspect that is great for low temperature steam is sous vide cooking. More and more restaurants doing sous vide. You'll see the big water immersion rethermalizers that take a lot of counter space in an already cramped kitchen environment. But in the TCM, set in steam mode, I can dial down the temperature and use the entire TCM as a giant sous vide cooking machine and get all the same benefits that I would get from a countertop water immersion recirculator in an upright cabinet like this. I've talked a little bit about low temperature steam. I can also steam above 212 degrees. I can steam at 212 if I have to, obviously, but I can steam above 212 degrees. Benefits to cooking above 212 degrees would be seen with things like potatoes or carrots, root vegetables, something where a little bit of extra power is gonna help soften the starch and soften those vegetables a little bit. All right, the TCM has signaled that it's finished cooking. I'm gonna open it up carefully because I know there's a lot of steam inside that wants to come cook meat. I want you to take a quick look at the spinach. Remember how I said that steam is a dry gas? If you'll notice, I cook this in a solid pan. It's not a traditional steam pan. But as I pull the spinach back, I want you to see that there's not a big puddle of water in the bottom of it. That's showing you that steam is a dry gas. The other nice thing is that because I cooked so gently with that steam, I can still pick up individual leaves of spinach even though that spinach is fully cooked. Okay, next I'm gonna use the auto mode, and I'm gonna be cooking with one of the recipes that I've written. It's a two-step recipe, taking advantage of the ability for the combi to inject steam into the cooking environment, use the power of steam to get in and start to cook the chicken in this instance. And then once the chicken has reached a state of being partially cooked, I'm gonna evacuate the moisture out of the cabinet, increase the temperature, and crisp up the skin. So I'm gonna be doing a roasted chicken with roasted red skin potatoes. To do this, I'm gonna go to the section of the control panel called My Favorites. I'm gonna select roasted chicken and start. At this point, the TCM is gonna start preheating, and it's gonna alert me when it's ready for me to load the chicken in. Okay, you see on the screen that the combi has told me that it's ready, so I'm gonna tell it okay. Load in my chicken. I'm gonna use the core temperature probe, put that inside the chicken. Our core temperature probe reads temperature at 3 points on the probe to ensure accuracy. The combi cooks to the coldest point on the probe for safety. So like I said, this chicken recipe is a two-step recipe. It starts with a high percent of humidity, using the power of steam to get in and really cook that chicken quickly. But then the TCM is automatically going to switch to a drier environment where the temperature is increased and the lack of humidity is going to allow the chicken skin to crisp up and the potatoes to finish roasting. All that's done automatically after I set the recipe up to run that way. Okay, so my roasted chicken is done. I'm gonna pull it out now. So as you can see, I've got nice crunchy skin on the chicken, and I've got great roasted potatoes in the pan with the chicken juice. Maybe you can see, but the chicken's super moist, super juicy right there. Okay, so now we're gonna go into one of the other features in our auto mode, and it's called multi-product. Multi-product lets me cook more than one food in the combi at the same time. The TCM is gonna manage the shelves for me, so that all I have to do is load, wait for the TCM to let me know that that shelf is finished, and then unload that shelf. Benefits here are for operations that have the need for simplified a la carte cooking, where the combi oven sort of becomes a station on the line. So I have my combi set up for the 3 or 4 or up to 10 or 12 items, but the 3 or 4 items that are going to be going in and coming out the most during service. That way I can set this up to be this multi-product machine and just go in and out over and over and over with those same products, knowing that every time I cook them, they're going to come out consistently the way that I want them. So I'm going to set up the multi-product screen now by going to multi-product. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna load the products onto the appropriate shelves in the TCM. So on the lowest shelf, I'm gonna do grilled peppers. And as I put that into this shelf, or tell the TCM I'm going to be putting the peppers on that shelf, you can probably hear that it is already preheating and getting ready for that product to go in. Above that, I'm going to add some fried chicken. Above that, I'm going to add eggplant. And I'm going to actually add an extra timer for a finishing step for my eggplant, because the way I'm making this eggplant Parmesan is I'm going to cook it one time and then add some cheese to it and let that cheese melt. So I'm gonna add in eggplant finish right here. And above that, I'm gonna put in some fries. And now my combi's set up to cook all of these things at the same time. I'm gonna add my grilled peppers to my grill rack in the bottom of the oven. Then above that, I'm gonna add in my fried chicken. Above that, so I was gonna do the eggplant. Above that, I'm gonna do another pan of fried chicken, a different one. And above that, I'm gonna put in the fries. I'm gonna hit start on peppers, first fried chicken. The second fried chicken, the eggplant cook, I'm gonna skip the eggplant finish because that's the second step, but the fries I am ready to cook. And now the TCM is cooking all of these products at the same time. So right now, the way that the TCM is set up is basically as an air fryer. And you can see that the breaded chicken is browning up beautifully, getting very crispy and still gonna be juicy, but has a nice crispy crust on the outside. I'm gonna add a little bit of red sauce. Gonna follow behind that with some fresh mozzarella. go here to eggplant finish, hit start. So right now the TCM is telling me that all of the rest of these dishes are finished. So the eggplant finish, you can see I got a really great melt on the cheese. On the fried chicken breasts, we've got great coloration on the bottoms of these, the tenders, and crispy French fries done in our fry basket. All right, now we're gonna go into one of our two manual modes, the ABC mode. ABC is the mode that Vulcan has developed that automatically controls the humidity at different temperature points. So I'm gonna go there now by pressing manual. It defaults into ABC mode. For these cookies I'm gonna make, I'm gonna set the temperature at 300 degrees. It automatically adjusts to 50%. As I adjust the temperature, the humidity level changes automatically. What we've done is figured out the optimal humidity level at those temperature points. If you feel like that humidity level isn't right for what you're cooking, it's as easy as tapping it and adjusting it to what you want. But the ABC mode is telling me that at 300 degrees, 50% humidity is the right level. Then for these cookies, they're gonna take 12 minutes. So I set a 12-minute timer. I'm gonna open the door and add the cookies. As I said, we're in ABC mode. ABC mode is Vulcan's automatic humidity control. And what we've done is figured out the right humidity level for certain temperatures. What that means for a customer is that they no longer have to know how to run a combi. When the TCM is set up in the ABC mode, it is simply putting in the food at a certain temperature and setting a timer. The TCM Combi, using the algorithm that Vulcan has come up with, will determine the right humidity level to cook at that temperature. This is patent pending technology. No one else in the market has this, and it really simplifies the use of a combi. What you're looking at is the graph that is basically the magic of the ABC. You can see on this graph, as the temperature moves higher from left to right, you'll see the humidity level changing. At lower temperatures, like around 212 degrees, you'll see very high levels of humidity. But as the temperature increases, as the graph moves further to the right, you'll see that humidity level start to drop. The reason for that is at higher temperatures, you're more likely to want more browning or more crisping action, all the way up to that finishing level, which would replicate a salamander or a finishing oven. The TCM is beeped to let me know that the cookies are ready. I'm gonna open the door, take out cookies. That. And if you'll watch the TCM right now, it goes right back into this manual mode where it stays ready at 300 degrees for my next thing that I want to cook. The thing that I want you to see is just how evenly the TCM Combi cooked these cookies. Because of the TCM's auto reversing fan, the airflow reverses itself every 2 minutes through the baking process. And that's why we get such great even results, top to bottom, front to back in the TCM Combi. So as I said, these cookies are absolutely evenly colored from left to right, front to back, wherever they were oriented in the TCM. But the other thing that's really impressive about this is there's no variation on the color on the crown of the cookie versus the base of the cookie. They're completely even top to bottom. And that just means that you're getting absolute perfect baking in the TCM. So now that we've been cooking in the TCM all day, it's time to do a self-wash. So as I said before, we find that by going to Toolbox. Here's the cleaning window there. I'll press that, and you'll see that I've got 4 cleaning options that start at light and then go up to Ultimate. Ultimate Clean is basically running 2 full intensive cleaning cycles back to back. You'll also see that right here, I can turn on or turn off the descaling. That means that if I don't feel that the machine needs to be descaled right now, I can turn off that descaling process and save that detergent, save that chemical. Also, I've got integrated drying if I want to make sure the Combi comes out without any water spots at all. One important thing to remember is that the TCM doesn't require that you buy a proprietary chemical from Vulcan. Any liquid Combi cleaner that's found on the market will work in the TCM. Just remember that you are also going to need a liquid descaling agent as well. For what we've done here today, I'm gonna go ahead and press medium clean. I'm gonna tell it that I do want to descale and that I'm gonna go ahead and integrate the drying as well. Then all I need to do is press start. The TCM is gonna run through an automatic wash and then do a descaling as well.